Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Blind Gamer 102 here in another vlog thing here. I kind of got this idea, okay, from how I go through and learn characters in fighting games. I think it's an interesting kind of insight of how a blind person would learn a character. And I know it's funny because even SightlessKombat, who's another good correspondent of mine, asked me how you're supposed to learn a character, and it's kind of difficult because the obvious answer would be, oh, you would have somebody teach you a character, like somebody sighted to sit down with you and say, okay, these are the moves, these are whatever. But what happens when you don't have that kind of assistance, right? So I have that kind of assistance now. However, I want to take you through kind of my sort of insight get it, the sort of things I go through of learning a character. So I kind of start out with like everybody else, except I know what a lot of people do is they look at the visuals of the character. They kind of see who looks cool or who they like to pick or something like that. For me, it's kind of like who I would tailor my playstyle to. So for example, if a new game's coming out, like let's just say when KI season 3 was coming out and there was a few characters, and I was like, okay, who did I like in the past? Or if I can, get it off for, general first experience, like Kim for example. I loved playing Kim when I used to play on the arcades with sighted friends. That was fun when I was younger, but I couldn't do that for other fighting games like Street Fighter or Guilty Gear or something like that. I kind of had to do a bit of research, and that's where most of my theory crafting comes in. So we'll get into that. So for example, let's just start with Killer Instinct. I started off with Jago because he was the Ryu of KI. He was the all-around balanced character. He did everything. He had, an invincible projectile. Like he can go through projectiles is what I'm trying to say. He can go through projectiles. He had an invincible DP. He had damage. He had regenerated health. I mean, he had everything pretty much. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just do a well-balanced character to start. And that's kind of what I do for a while. Is just if I'm playing the game for the first time, excuse me, voice is gonna crack a lot, so sorry. If I'm playing a game for the first time, I'll generally pick the Ryu of that game. So, the main character, I guess, like for Guilty Gear, I guess it would be Soul Bad Guy, or for Street Fighter, obviously be Ryu. For Killer Instinct, it'd be Jago. For Mortal Kombat, it'll be Scorpion or Sub-Zero. So, I mean, you get it. Like, you would pick the main characters of the franchise. So, that's kind of what I lean towards until I research more of the game, until I test characters out myself, is when I start to really figure this out. And this is a course over quite a few weeks into months, because I can't just pick up and play a character. So we'll get right into the basics. So when I learn a character, for example, I go into training mode and I do what everybody does. We figure out what kind of normals there are, right? So we come in, KI is a 6-button fighter. Okay, these heavy or light punch, light kick, medium kick, heavy punch, heavy kick. So I'll figure out what normals there are, and I'll start to learn the sound of that normal. Now I know people don't really think about, oh, normals making different sounds, but they do, especially in a good game like Killer Instinct that has pretty good sound. And before I move any further, if you guys want to really get into the sound, I would recommend getting some open backed headphones, something with a really big sound stage, so you can hear that audio better in left and right channels and whatnot. It's all audio file stuff, but it really helps with learning what side of the screen you're on, what normals sound like, what movements sound like. So that's me, because I can't visually see the normals. So I'm like, all right, what do the normals sound like? So obviously, that's a light punch. Okay, and I sit here for a while and I tap the button. I'm like, all right, cool, I got that. Light kick. Now you see they sound similar, right? So if you listen, okay, so they sound the same or almost similar. The thing you got to really pick up on, and this is why I recommend if you're blind or if you're you can't see very well, lower your music. You're going to want to do that. You can hear the subtle difference between the light punch versus the light kick. The light punch has a softer sound versus the light kick has a more heavier sound. So we'll try it again. Okay, so you can, this is better off with headphones. So for example, the light punch kind of sounds more towards the center of the screen because it's reaching further than, it feels like this punch will reach further than the kick. It sounds, at least it sounds like it. Maybe visually and maybe hitbox wise, it doesn't. And that's why, you know, we go through and test things. So the punch sounds like it's grabbing towards the center of the screen. And then the kick still sounds in my left ear, and it sounds like it's going up instead of forward. So when I do the punch, it sounds like it's moving forward, like he's swiping at you forward. And in the kick, it sounds like he's kicking kind of up at you. So if we test this, so if I stand near, let's say we stand, I don't know, let's say we stand point blank range, obviously it's going to hit. So that's about the range. So here's the range. So if I hit at this range, I'm not going to hit my punch. I'm definitely not going to hit my kick. So if I hit and I do a little step, hit, do a little step, hit. Okay. So I know 2 steps in, I'm going to hit. 1, 2. Oops, I dashed. I'm sorry. So if we go to point blank range, I can get 2 punches and then I'll miss every single time. So if I do a step in, I'll hit. So as soon as I hit, the pushback will push him back a little further. So I have to do 1, 2, hit again. So it's 2 steps always. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's how I know my range of my light punch. Now my light kick, can I get away with 1 step? No. Can I get away with 2 steps? No. Can I get away with 3? So it takes 3 steps for my light kick to happen. So right there for me, it took a hell of a lot longer to figure out, all right, my light punch is better than my light kick. So here, 1, 2, bam. 1, 2, 3, bam. So it really, that's how I have to do things. I have to count steps. I have to, you know, figure out ranges and spaces. That's what I'm going to do. And that's how I figure things out. So, you know, if we're going back into reset, if you can still hear, so it sounds a little bit different. It sounds, the light punch sounds more like it's reaching towards the center, and then the light kick sounds like it's going up. Okay. And that's just basic. Now I do that for, I'm not going to go through every normal that way, because this will take, this video would be fucking forever, but that's the general basis. I mean, we'll go over one more. How about that? We'll go over the medium punch. So if we're doing the medium punch, okay, you hear how long that is? So check this out. Okay. You hear how soft that sound is? Okay. That sound is really soft. Now let's go with the medium kick. You hear how loud that sound is? So what that tells me from experience, that tells me that this medium punch reaches not as far as the medium kick, I think. So if we do the same thing we did before, and oh, well, honestly, with Omen, it's kind of harder because he has a different punch for whatever reason. But so we'll reach from this range. Okay, so if I step in and I can hit him here. So here. So I have to take a step and then I can hit, step and hit. So if I do with my medium kick, yeah, see my medium kick, I have to take 1 extra step. Maybe that's more pushback on the medium punch. I don't know. So it's just testing ranges. And so to me, you know, I don't know. I haven't figured out which normals are better and whatever, but it's one of those things where if you hear, we'll go over the sound again. You can almost hear the sound if we go to if we start back at the center. You can almost hear the sound. Here, I'll shut up. You can almost hear the sound reaching from the left side of your headphone into the center almost, just because of the reach of the normal. You can almost hear it. And then for the kick, it's even more so. So it's just a stronger sound for the kick. So yeah, so that's just basically off sound. Okay, so that's how I figure out normals. And that's simple enough. how do we figure out special moves? Because hello, blind gamer, though you can't see the command list. Well, this is where we get into research. So for example, if I'm in training mode, I'm like, okay, what does this fighting game consist of? This fighting game consists of quarter circle forwards, quarter circle backs, back forward motions, up down motions. There's no half circle motions like there is in Street Fighter. There's no weird quarter circle, half circle motions like there is in, you know, Guilty Gear or KOF. So I don't have to worry about that. I just know that there's quarter circle forward, quarter circle back, up down, back forward, and stuff like that. So what I'll do is, if I'm learning a new character, I'll figure out, all right, is this character a Shoto style character, which means he'll use a lot of quarter circle forwards, quarter circle back, or is he like he or she like a charge character, which he'll use a lot of back forward motions, up down motions. Obviously there's exceptions to this rule like Riptor and Cinder, but that's neither here or there. Comes with practice. So what I'll do is I'll do a quarter circle forward always. I'll do quarter circle forward every single punch, quarter circle forward every single kick, and we'll see what I get. So obviously quarter circle forward light punch gives me a Rashukuken. Quarter circle heavy punch gives me a double Rashukuken. Quarter circle forward gives me a triple Rashukuken. I already know that because I played the game. Quarter circle back gives me order shield and variant strengths. Quarter circle forward kick gives me flurry kicks of variant strengths, and then quarter circle back gives me the slide. So off the bat, I already know Omens because Omen's my main, so I already know every single movement of Omen. And then obviously the specialties of Omen, which I wouldn't know off the bat. Like I wouldn't know Omen's combo trait off the bat because I couldn't read it. I wouldn't know how to do his ultra off the bat because I can't read that. I wouldn't know his special shadow port off the bat because I can't read that. So I got to give credit where credit is due, and that's to Superman, Sajam, and other people, you know, other people on the YouTubes. Another person that I can think of off the top of my head, his name is Red Gambit. He's a really good jury player that I've recently tried to pick up and listen to his tutorials. There's a plethora of other people. I have links in the description for Sajam, Red Gambit, ScolioReset, even SightlessKombat. Like these are all the people that I talk to and I work with on a regular basis. Obviously I can't talk to Sajam or Red Gambit, but I listen to their character tutorials, and that's where I figure out a lot of the, you know, ins and outs of the game. They'll tell me what normals are good, what normals are bad, what the character does, and you know what the combo trait is if it's Killer Instinct, what the, you know, V skill does if it's Street Fighter. And I'll just look around YouTube, you know, I'll just browse around YouTube and figure out all these different things. And then as I'm, you know, listening to their commentary, I'm also trying to pick out the sound of the normal or the sound of the special move as well. So if they're doing a certain combo or something that I'm trying to learn or something like that, I'll try to pick it out. I'll try to say, okay, what is he doing? Obviously that's harder for me to do, but it's the way we're talking strictly I'm learning on my own type of deal. So obviously it's harder for me to pick out a sound of normals and then go into a combo and be like, okay, let's do this. So a lot of my learning experience is by experimentation, seeing what feels right, seeing what really helps me out. So let's just, for example, we've watched character tutorials, right? We figured out the normals. We know what special moves are. We know what combo traits are. We know what the ultra is. So now we know our character. Now I know this character, you know, up and down. You know, I've memorized not only the good normals, you know, what's good spaces, what can I do with each normal, you know, are there special command normals that I need to figure out, stuff like that. So we experimented, we got this. Now we go into the combo system. Now this is where we have to memorize what things actually do, so what things actually sound like. So for KI, in KI specific, what strengths, what, you know, what does heavy sound like, what does medium sound like, what does light sound like, how does this work? So after we find that out, so for example, I'm gonna go into light opener to heavy, and or light opener to light linker to light link auto double into light again, you know, or just, you know, something simple. So I know lights sound pretty fast, right? So I mean, we do it again. Okay, so light sounds pretty quick. Okay, so I'm like, all right, boom, 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 boom. So lights sound pretty cool. Now we do mediums. Okay, so I know the linker hits twice. The auto double sounds a little bit slower than the light. And I know that it takes a little bit different timing because lights are pretty quick timing. So boom, 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 right? And then we do the mediums. So it's a different timing altogether. Now we do the heavies. So I will start off here. So that's the slowest, obviously. So now that's going to be repetition, over and over and over and over again until I get the timing down. Because all of it for me, for a blind player, is muscle memory. And I know muscle memory is important for everybody in fighting games, but for me, it's extremely important because it's all about timing for me. And especially if I'm going to do different combos. So for example, you know, going into light to heavy again to medium to light. Like, I want to make sure that I know my timing. I want to make sure that I know the timing down and I can hear when I confirm and when I block, when it's a block. So for example, that's this is obviously a confirm, you know. So, and if they, you know, obviously that's a block. So if we do it, so if we stop, so I know that's a block sound. That's a confirm sound. So every sound we're learning in the game. So this is a step. It's like, think of it as a pyramid. We're starting with the base, which is the mechanics, the overall mechanics of the game, the system mechanics. Then we're building sound on top of that. The first thing is learning everything about the game before I even start playing it. I have to know the system mechanics. What are combo breakers? What are V skills? What are stuff like that? You know, what are Roman cancels for Guilty Gear? I have to know every single thing before I even start going into a practice. And then moving forward to that, I have to start building sound on top of that. All right, what does that sound like? What does a combo breaker sound like? What does a hit confirm sound like? What does the block sound like? What do the different strengths sound like in KI? What do manuals sound like? Everything has a sound, and you just have to pick it out. You have to pick out the finer points of a sound. And that's the problem, is that if the game doesn't have good sound, it's harder for me to play. So obviously we'll break this down again for everybody. If you guys made it this far, awesome. You guys are amazing. I love you. So we'll break it down again. So first, learn the game mechanics, system mechanics, what I do, and then picking a character. Start out with the most balanced character I can. For example, Jago, Ryu, Soul Bad Guy, you know, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. And then I move to other characters that may fit the playstyle. How do I learn other characters? I go watch videos like on character tutorials. I go watch Sajam and his character overviews. I go watch Red Gambit and his awesome beginner's jury tutorials. I go and watch, you know, different other people have different opinions on characters. What do they think, you know, characters really do? I go watch streams like Maximilian. When a new character comes out, I see what he has to say about the character. So all of it for me is research. It's just like, I don't know, it's like learning a new subject. Go in, learn everything you can, and then the final test is actually starting to experiment myself and really get some combos down and really try to understand my character. And once I do, and I feel like I got Omen down, Omen took me I'd say about 2-3 months to learn. And I feel like once I got him down, I can do, you know, combos like this. You know, so I can do mix-ups, I can do combos, I can stop a combo and go for a grab reset. You know, all these stuff I've learned. You can even do something like this. You know, just different mix-ups. We can knock them back into the other corner for corner carry. We can do a mix-up into a manual. Stuff like that. I mean, like, once you learn your character, you know, you can figure out different things. And it's no different from, you know, anybody else learning their character. So 1, 2, 3, jump, bam, bam. Bam, bam, lock out. If they lock out, go for a grab, go for another reset. You know, just stuff like that. So you start to learn combos, you start to practice and play. And after that, after I learn the characters and sounds, I mean, I do that for every single other character. That's how I learn a game. That's how I fight against other matchups. I do that with every single character, and learn their sounds, learn what their normals, what their special moves sound like, learn, you know, what their timing is. And it's a lot. It seems like a lot, but for me, if I'm dedicated to a game, I'll sit down and learn. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I love you guys so much. Appreciate it. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave them down below. Like the video if you liked it. You know, obviously thumbs down if you didn't like it. Please let me know what else you guys want to know. Ask questions. Put some topics for new vlogs. Again, I'll link all the videos I mentioned, or all the channels I mentioned, like Red Gambit, Sajam. I'll link their channels down in the description if you want to go check them out too. They're pretty cool guys. SightlessKombat's another blind person. Special shout out to ScolioReset, who did a really cool menu tutorial for the practice menu. I think that's really sick. So bro, if you can do some other stuff like Street Fighter practice menus, I know it's a little bit harder because they have a shit ton of stuff in that menu. If anybody else can do some menu tutorials for us blind dudes, that'd be pretty sick. So yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you guys next video. Peace.